Welcome to the Live Fully podcast with kratom. I'm ETHA co-founder Alexander, and today with me is Amanda. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
We also have our producer, Nicole. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning.
So today we are going to talk about how we incorporate other botanicals and supplements along with the kratom that we take. Let's get started.
So, as you guys know, there's been a little deal that we're kind of doing online right now. We've created a new bundle. It kind of plays off with the idea of the new year, new me kind of style.
Yep, New Year's resolutions, very common. Very
That's
good time to reflect on the previous years. What do you want to accomplish next year?
Mm-hmm. And we talked about it in the last two episodes, one's up, not the other one, but eventually the other one will be up, where I talked to you about like mental health, focus and stuff, and then I talked with Victor about working out and the importance of all that. Mm-hmm. So we've had some customers ask, Victor's actually already mentioned what he does on a daily basis. So they were asking what you take on a daily basis, because I know through some episodes we talk here and there what we take, but we've never like really sat down and talked to you about what you take. I know Victor takes a smoothie with all these supplements. You're more like just in a cup, put it in there in some water. I don't know how you do it, but he does more like a berry leafy green mix and stuff like that for him and his family. So I just wanted to touch base on that and kind of touch base on the bundle as well. I think it's called New Year Better Me.
Okay.
Is what it is. And it has the workout, slim fit, recovery, midday, gold, and sunset.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a nice little tester bundle for if you want to do a little bit more, and you like our very not our basic blends, but more like introductory blend, which is more like Mengda, Sunrise, the more common ones. Mm-hmm. This is a good bundle for you to explore beyond that and help you your whole New Year Better Me kind of genre.
Yeah. So what other botanicals and supplements do I take for kind of my morning routine, overall health and wellness?
Yes. And then adding that too, because as we always say, kratom is not your one-stop shop. It's not going to be your magic pill to make your life better physically, mentally, and all that. We're really big on implementing other stuff, like moving your body, other botanicals.
Good nutrition, good exercise.
Sleep.
And then, with that nutrition, it's hard to get all of the nutrients and minerals, vitamins that we need just from our standard food supply. So supplements are a really good way. And especially also taking into account that there's a lot of testing that's available. So individually, I know my body, for an example, cannot properly methylate TMG. Mm-hmm. So this is trimethylglycine, which is a common supplement that is available. And so the only reason I started taking that was because I did a genetic test and found that my body is genetically deficient in being able to kind of methylate this certain supplement or element. And so then I was able to find that dietary ingredient or that dietary supplement and take it for me personally. So and then it also helps me stay away from certain foods like green tea. I'm not supposed to drink or consume because of that. And
how does it counteract?
For some reason, there's something in green tea that inhibits that process of the methylation that my body is already kind of struggling to do. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the recommendations. I'm not supposed to.
Are you not supposed to have coffee
tea.
either?
Coffee's okay. Yeah, it's something about green tea specifically. So
it's not caffeine; it's just the green tea.
Correct. Yeah. And so,
it's so funny
because I do drink a lot of coffee, so that's another botanical
that's
I like coffee.
Well, I just realized, I read an article over the weekend, because since the last episode we talked, I've been more intentional about like what I put in my body, because I'm trying to stay, if not as strong as week one, but I'm still going as far as like meal planning and all that stuff. And I didn't know that a lot of coffee that's imported has a lot of fungus in it. It's very supposedly.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's just true of all foods. I mean, there's bacteria and fungus all around our entire world. So it's kind of like, I think that's more of a scare tactic versus really being a concern, so to speak, because of course, coffee has fungus in it. It's a plant, just like anything else you buy in the grocery store is going to have fungus and bacteria on it. It's not necessarily harmful fungus or bacteria.
Yeah, I think it was an article where Cameron Diaz made a big deal about sharing her coffee routine, and it had a specific coffee blend. I can't remember the name of it now, but she made it a point to say that it was like, is it fungus? Mold free. Yeah, because supposedly I don't know. That's why I wanted to bring it up with you.
I mean, coffee is roasted anyway. I mean, you have to take the green coffee beans and roast them. And so that the temperature that coffee is roasted at is going to kind of be like a pasteurization process and kill all of that bacteria. So yeah, the concern of that, I wouldn't put much emphasis behind necessarily.
So that's why I wanted to bring up to you, because I of course you would know all these kinds of things, and I wanted to touch base on that. And I was gonna, if it was true or not, I don't know. I was gonna say, I wonder if that has to play a lot with people's gut health as well, because it's probably, I mean, there's no way for you to avoid like a product to have nothing in it. The process from the beginning to the end, there's always that little small chance that something may come in here. You can do everything you can, but there's always just like a little bit, you know?
Yeah, well, to your point of gut health, I mean, our microbiome is a collection of beneficial bacteria that help us and work with us. So if we were to have sterilized food, that would actually not be helpful. That's why things like kimchi, like vinegar-based type foods are good for us, is because those are beneficial bacteria that we're ingesting and helping. And that's essentially what probiotics are the beneficial bacteria. So yeah, you definitely don't want to have like no bacteria. Clean, like a sterilized food supply is not healthy for us.
What is it saying? A little dirt won't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And there's definitely truth to that. And it's because our body adapts to the environment around us. I think part of the complication that I've found, at least, is because we are a microbiome of all these different bacteria that work with our body. If I change foods, that's when it kind of upsets my system, because our body, incorporates those foods. We get accustomed to it. And if you're always making radical changes and not being somewhat consistent with the type of food you're eating, that's when you start to feel the effects, because your body's trying to readjust to it. And that's also why typically like traveler's stomach, which is where if you travel like large, like great distances halfway around the world, why it's common to kind of have like an upset digestive system, is because it's different bacteria across the world as your body's now trying to become accustomed to.
That's a good example, especially since you travel a lot. I think I mentioned to you and Victor a while ago, or a couple weeks ago, parejetes, I think is how you say it. And it's like a common drink in Mexico where it's like milk straight from the cow.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But then like they get the cup, they put some alcohol, burn it to kill some of the bacteria, but then you put the coffee and then you milk the cow right into the cup. For you and I don't think it would be so great for our stomachs, because we're not used to raw milk like that.
Right.
We're more used to, I don't know, I don't drink that much milk. I do like 2% maybe. I'll make my own almond milk now. But if I were to drink that thing, one of my godmother drank it and she was out for a couple of days because her stomach was like dying.
Yeah, just too much different bacteria that not accustomed
but
to. But
somebody who's from that town that we're in, my aunt's town, I believe, that's like normal for them because their stomach is, And then actually when we went to Guadalajara for my birthday, we went to Totaclan. I think that's the town my mom's family's from. It's in Guadalajara, about like an hour and a half from the city. So it was kind of cool to see the city or the little town. Oh, this is, where to talk to little boys and stuff like that. But we went to my aunt's house, and it was cool to see the old pictures and like where they stayed in the summers. And they gave us some very, very, like, I don't know how do you say, common food, I guess, in English. It's a sencillo, very common frijoles, cheese, and then carne asada.
Like the staples.
Yeah, the staples. And it was really good. Of course, the cheese was amazing because it was fresh. Because it's a little town.
Right.
And then the tortillas are very like fresh also in the little town. You just buy from each other kind of thing. But
without preservatives, because preservatives essentially disrupt the bacteria growing in food. That's how they can preserve food on the shelf, which means that's also kind of part of the issue with a lot of preservatives can upset our bacteria microbiome. And so if you don't have that, the nice fresh food, that's probably why it's easier.
The preservatives is to make it last longer, isn't it?
Yes, preservatives preserve the food on the shelf, and they do that by adding basically substances that inhibit bacteria growth. But the problem is that those substances, you consume too much of it, will also harm the beneficial bacteria in your own system. And so that's where, the fresher foods, people generally talk about, it's just easier for me to eat. I didn't have some of that upset issues that I had going on when I, maybe eat ultra processed foods here.
So do you think that's why a lot of people here have a lot of gut health issues?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, our food supply in the U.S. is very in need of adjusting back towards nutrition. Yeah, less processed, more whole foods is a much better direction to try to maintain.
So when we drove by the carniceria, which is the meat market, and you see like the meat just hanging there, no fridge, no nothing. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, that's very common here. It's you don't really use a fridge a lot because you just buy for the day. And you don't buy for like the month or the 2 weeks to make the groceries last. Yes. It's like literally almost every 2 to 3 days, if that.
Yeah. So
they gave us some carne asada, and I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just eat it. But the texture of it was so different than what is here. Here's a little bit softer, but it was almost like jerky, but it was filling. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know why I felt more filling, and I ate way less too.
Yeah.
Than I would normally here because I feel like maybe it's so thin. I don't know. You just dissolves faster? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I wonder too if there's maybe just it's more nutrient dense. So instead of having, say, cows here that are factory farmed with a lot of grain and corn to make them very bulky and kind of, fatty, tasty, but there's probably less micronutrients unless you're getting kind of, grass-fed beef. So that way, if your body is maybe looking or craving a certain mineral or compound, it's like, okay, well, I need to keep eating more to get this certain content that I need. And the only way to do that is to eat more of that food here. We don't have the nutrient dense foods that we used to.
So it's a good thing that you touch base on that about the hormones and enhancing them to be bigger, better, faster so they can sell and stuff. So I don't know if you guys have been in the know, but there was a little TikTok ban this weekend. Everybody's freaking out. So the week leading up to it, there has been talk about people jumping to another app called Red Note. I don't know the actual name of it. It's like a Chinese app or something. And so a lot of Americans have been jumping over there because they're, freaking out that they were not going to have TikTok. But come to find out, actually, a lot of people who have Chinese people that have been in there were helping a lot of Americans supposedly on kind of like nutrition. And then one lady was saying like, oh, I can't seem to lose weight. How do you guys lose so weight? And you guys are so fit, blah, blah. And then like, there's hormones in your food, right? And you're eating that. And then a lot of your, I think it was her topic, her food was like, I ate a lot of pig or something. She's like, yeah, they give a lot of hormones to pigs, so you're going to eat it, and that's why it's hard for you to lose weight, because you have those hormones in you. And I was like, oh, I never thought of that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I was like, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely are a lot of food additives, and then to your point, there's also a lot of pharmaceuticals and additives we give to our animals when they're growing and feeding to make them
even
more
their
productive.
Fruits and veggies, right? Like genetically modified food, or do you add stuff to make pesticides to not
yes
have...
the complicated part is that to some extent every single food that we currently eat is genetically modified. I mean, throughout the course of human history, we've taken certain seeds, bred them when we started doing farming, and then we'd look for crops that had a higher yield, so we'd reproduce those seeds, and over time we've genetically modified just through selective breeding. Now, there is a lot more that people talk about genetic modification of foods where we're actually, say, splicing genes from maybe other plants or even animals into plants to get certain characteristics.
To make it more hardy, maybe?
It depends. So sometimes it can be to increase the sugar content. Sometimes it can be to increase the drought resistance. But one of the main ones that people talk about is taking plants and inserting a gene that makes them resistant to Roundup, a pesticide. So that way it's easier to farm, where instead of having to selectively kind of weed the invasive plants, they just spray Roundup on the whole entire crop. The genetically modified crop that has that gene spliced in is resistant to that pesticide, where the other plants die away. But those glyphosates are very toxic, and so we have some issues potentially from those areas. Well, not even that,
just for like the food we're consuming, but the people who are picking it as well. I know a lot of people who pick. Personally, I know people who do pick stuff, and just in general, the community, they get sick a lot, and they get really, really, really bad, and it has to tie down to what we're spraying the plants and all that stuff. Yeah,
there is a lot of that. Yeah, and it's definitely time for change. I mean, looking throughout history, I mean, humans didn't always have such an abundance of calories of food available. Now, there's still issues where some people in this world don't have enough food, and other people have way too much calories or food. So we do need to rebalance where that food goes and help kind of people be more healthy, better choices with food. But there's definitely, I think, a direction that we can steer the farming community to produce more nutritious food that impacts overall health versus just trying to increase the food supply
also too
as itself.
I think because I went to Costco yesterday to buy some stuff. I think even visually to make food more appealing to buy easier, because like for instance, not to shade Costco, but yesterday I went to go get brown beef. You know how there's that 3-pack of organic beef, or you have the ground beef mountain, like the big pouch. The difference is 1 pound and $3. I said, why do we get this one, which is like 1 more pound, instead of getting like the better option because it's organic and it's more like I think it's a higher fat, so like it cooks down or something. And I was like, just visually you feel like you're getting more in this one and a better deal, but really the difference is 1 pound maybe versus something that's a better quality. At the eye gaze, I didn't really look at all the ingredients, so but you're gonna spend $3 less, get 1 less pound, and you, because it's smaller, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna get that. A family of 4 is not gonna last with those 3 packets. So I think that too. At least now that I'm looking at the labels a little bit more, I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also, it seems to be it's hard to tell the nutrition content.
Yeah.
Right. And I think also there's certain visual cues like the color of meat or to like indicate freshness. But there's tricks that have been developed, I think, adding like nitrogen into the meat container will kind of keep meat looking more red, more fresh when it's really not. So there's been a lot of visual cues that are not necessarily what they were as far as how we evolved to kind of visually see what type of things are more nutritious for us. There's kind of tricks that have been put in place just to sell more of that product. And I think that what makes it somewhat complicated to select what product is the healthiest.
Yeah, because even when I was looking at like keto friendly or like low sugar, supposedly low carb, the face label, you're like, oh, this is a great option. But then when you turn it around, you can use that Yuka app or whatever to see if it's good or not. But then you look at the ingredients and it's like, okay, yeah, it's better. But then you're also feeding in the you can't escape the erythritol and
well, yeah, and that's the
stuff.
thing, right? It's like, yes, the healthiest option is to just switch to whole food products, fresh foods, prepare it yourself. If I'm trying to find, say, a Reese's peanut butter cup and a healthier version that has lower sugar, but all they do is add erythritol or some other artificial sweetener, there are side effects to those products that aren't maybe well understood. So it's so
I was looking at the PB2 powder versus regular peanut butter. Like I was like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Why can't we just put a scoop of peanut butter instead of making this?
Yes, and the whole idea of low fat being healthier is the biggest myth. Fine. Yeah, it's like, I mean, sugar is the problem. And so this whole like steering away from fat being the problem and just increasing sugar in our food supply has caused huge problems. And I think, that powdered peanut butter, I'm pretty sure was just a waste product from peanut oil. Because peanut oil used to be one of the most widely used like deep fry oils. It was and so it's like that peanut oil had to come from somewhere, which means they were growing, because like I think they've changed the labeling now, but when that powdered peanut butter first came out, it was high oleic peanuts, which means high oil peanuts. But then they removed all of the oil and were left with this powdered peanut butter with no oil. So why would you grow peanuts with high oil only to remove it and make peanut powder
juicing.
Out of it?
You get the juice, but so then they're just using the remains.
Yes, so that's basically kind of like a waste product.
On the business side, it's smart.
Sure.
But at the same,
it's not healthy. Yeah, I would definitely recommend kind of more natural, less processed peanut butter or whole like almond butter. Some of those probably. And then
speaking to your point as far as like making food look better longer, that I was looking at, because one of the recipes asked for avocado. It was like the squeeze bottle. I was like, that's kind of interesting that it's in the squeeze bottle. But in the front it said, "Will stay fresh for 14 days after open." I was like, why can't we just buy regular avocado? Just put it on top. That's interesting. And like, it's like financially it's a little bit cheaper.
There's always a trade-off for that convenience, for sure.
And did you hear that they supposedly banned red dye or they're gonna start to.
Red dye number 5 was finally outlawed after like 30 years of knowing that it is possibly carcinogenic to humans. Like it's definitely carcinogenic to
What does that mean
to mice, that it causes cancer in mice.
Oh.
So we definitely know that. There's kind of limited studies that it's not as dangerous for humans at a lower amount or like a very small addition. But to me, like the question is, okay, even if red dye number 5 was safe, why are we adding it to foods, particularly kind of like a lot of cereals? Right. And that what that does is that bright color drives the behavior of making foods more appealing and consuming more. And so we already kind of have, like a obesity problem with children. They're already kind of consuming too much sugars, too many calories, not enough exercise. So even if red dye number 5 was completely benign, that it didn't cause any issues, the fact that we're adding something to our food supply that is causing, say, kids to eat more junk foods that aren't healthy, well, that's kind of, the risk reward is, well, there's some potential risk to it. And the reward is actually not health and like a good reward for people. So why did it take us 30 years to ban this product or substance?
I think a lot of moms too, like, I mean, I'm friends with a bunch of moms, but they also say that not just because of the color and what the carcinogenic result would be, but they say that the red dye kind of made an effect on the kids, like more hyper,
that could
attention.
Be, yeah. And that's the hard part, is that when we say things do not affect
like ADD
us,
and all, ADHD and all that stuff.
It's very hard to look at any kind of mental issues on a individual substance basis, because it's such a complex feature set of how do you evaluate mental health. But we definitely know at a societal level, it seems like in general, we're more prone to anxiety, more prone to ADHD. There's all these kind of increasing mental health risk factors and issues that have been going up. So there's something going on that we're kind of not being maybe told the full truth about some of these substances.
I think with our generation, we were just like, okay, whatever's cheaper, make more. We can make more with less. But it's funny that we're talking about kids, because I was at Target yesterday looking at some tuna, and I don't even know what the kids were looking at with their dad, but it seemed like they were at their dad's the next morning, and they live separate because they said the dad's like, hey, is this good for you? And they're like, yeah, but it has a lot of carbs, or it has a lot of sugar, how blah, blah, blah. That's not going to fill me up in the morning. And then he kind of got embarrassed because I was like sitting there, but I just laughed because I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, we'll boil an egg so that you feel more like, and then he added in those things, and she's like, okay, I'll do that then. And I was like, oh, okay. The next generation seems to be more cautious about it and more all that.
Yeah, excellent. And that is the hard part, right? Because it's like the idea of adding supplements to our food supply is a good idea overall, because as we talked about, we don't get all the nutrition that we necessarily need, or sometimes it's hard to eat the natural food. So, I mean, I did some blood tests, genetic tests, found I was low in vitamin D. So I supplement with vitamin D. I also found that I was lower on the scale for magnesium. So I also supplement with magnesium, which is kind of an essential salt that our body needs to especially kind of relax muscles, good for any kind of vasodilation, just your body relaxing.
There's different types of magnesium, right?
Yes, there's like 7 to 12
tricky.
types of magnesium. Some are better for sleep, some are better for muscles. So it's a really complicated subset of supplements.
So what kind of magnesium do you need? Kind of like the...
I mean, to be honest, I haven't dived deep into the different types. I mean, right now I take magnesium citrate as one of the simple ones. I also do a magnesium oil, which is more of like a dead sea salt or sea mineral that is sprayed on the body, because your skin also absorbs a lot of minerals, salts, and goes through, because that, we don't have to just consume something to get inside of our body. If we put on topical creams, it can go, and so being cognizant of what I put on my skin. And so I do use kind of a more natural sea salt derived spray that has a lot of magnesium in it. So I think it has different types of it, and just assuming that my body will absorb what it needs, and then the rest kind of washes off in showers.
So what other supplements do you take now that you did the testing? Like, what's your, I guess, morning routine?
Into
the night?
My morning routine is sunrise kratom, just to kind of feel a little more awake before the gym. It's been a great kind of motivation for me. It makes me feel a little more positive. It's easier for me to get started.
Mental clarity.
Yep. I also take Tongkat Ali, which that's kind of helps my testosterone production, helps my body produce its own natural testosterone back to a normal level, because that just declines as we age. As well, it helps make my testosterone more bioavailable. I also then, like I said, do vitamin D. And vitamin D seems to be much more of it's not really just a vitamin. It also shows to be one of the starting building blocks for a lot of hormone production. So, I mean, hormones drive our body, including like testosterone and other. I also then, what else do I do? I do B12, like methylated B12, just because part of that genetic test shows that maybe I'm a little deficient being able to methylate B12. So I do.
What's the difference between regular B12 and methylated? Or what's the methylation part of it?
Methylation is our body will take certain compounds or substances and methylate them or convert them into the active form of how our body actually uses it. So a methylated vitamin or methylated substance is more bioavailable or easy for your body to use. You're not requiring, say, your liver or your body to convert it into the bioavailable version.
What makes it methylated though? Is it like a concentrate kind of thing?
Methylated means that it's like just been converted. So it takes a substance and it will be changed or altered by adding in like a different molecule group onto it, so they can interact with our body in the function it needs to perform.
That sounds expensive.
Not really. I mean, no? It's more expensive than just vitamin. I mean, that is the hard part about supplementation.
There's
is that
so much out there.
It's minimally regulated, right? Like GMP processing is a very minimal set of standards on how to regulate supplements, which is good and bad. It's good that it keeps supplements available to consumers, but then it also puts a lot more onus on the consumer to do the research on what works for them, what's a better company, so that's kind of the trade-off of, okay, it's available and it's not as expensive as, say, a pharmaceutical drug would be, but it's also, available for us to figure out, and then I can find what works for me.
So when you wake up, is that what you take right away, or do you have breakfast? Or because usually
I generally do. Yeah, I generally go to the bathroom when I shower, then after I brush my teeth, I take my kratom, my Tongkat Ali, my vitamin D, my TMG, and then my Tongkat Ali. I think that's it.
Tongkat Ali.
Yeah, and then generally like the magnesium, I'll do the spray at nighttime when I'm before I'm going to bed.
So that's gonna help you go to sleep. Is that the one that you take, or is it?
I think so. Yeah, it's the one that kind of helps muscles relax. There's kind of some relaxation association of magnesium.
Is that the only thing you do at night? Is it magnesium, or do you take anything at nighttime?
It depends. Sometimes I take our Midnight Dream, which is our low mitragynine kratom, along with GABA. And that just kind of helps me get that deep restorative sleep. So I kind of have sometimes issues of getting that deep restful sleep.
Because of you don't know how to shut your brain down kind of sleep, or because you're in pain or discomfort or anything kind of sleep?
I don't know for sure. I just know that it happens. Yeah, from I use Oura Ring Tracker, like a Fitbit, and I can see that I don't have much deep sleep unless I kind of do these protocols.
Do you utilize the Oura Ring? I don't know about the Fitbit, if that will track your sleep. Does it? I can't remember.
It does. I just know the Oura Ring is one of the most accurate sleep trackers.
Yeah.
And so I don't use it on a, say, day-by-day basis. When I first got it, I started doing some experimentation, seeing what was deficient. And then I have like a sleep hygiene routine where I'll go to bed, an hour before I want to fall asleep, start winding down. I'll try to turn off the lights to kind of signal my brain to shut down or remove screen time. I also then, make sure it's cold. Like your brain needs to cool down by like 2 or 3 degrees for it to like actually get into REM and deep sleep. So I make sure my room is nice and cold. I also close the blinds. I have a sleep mask to make sure I don't disrupt the light pattern as much as possible. And then sometimes I'll incorporate either earplugs or like noise canceling earplugs, just because I feel that kind of like nice quiet environment really seems to keep me in a nice deep, restorative sleep.
I was just talking to my mom about like how much more sleepy I am because it's so cold. Because now I have 2 windows in my room, so it's like one. I have 2 windows now, so the sun comes up on one side and it goes over to the other side. So my room is like an incubator now if it's warm, but then it's really cold when it's cold. But I've been sleeping so much better because it's nice and cold. I just got a duvet cover too. And before I would have to wear like 2 blankets to be warm. But with this one, I'm just nice and toasty. And like in the morning, it's so hard to wake up. I saw a trick on TikTok that said, if you have a hard time, instead of snoozing, just count to 3 or 5. And it'll motivate you to get out of bed. And I need that because I snooze a lot. And it actually does work.
Yeah. And I think for what also helped me get more motivated getting out of bed was that I always assume that, I just wish I was a morning person. There's some people that just like, they like to get up. And I was like, no one actually likes to get up. It's just that some people, to your point, choose to say like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get up. Yeah. And so if I'm laying in bed and I'm starting to like cycle through my mind of like all these anxiety thoughts and like I start going on this like negative thought pattern, I'm like, I got to get up right now because I'm just going to sit here in bed and feel more and more depressed and issues. And like, okay, so this like negative thought pattern is going to help me get out of bed and kind of start to kind of approach like that cool, crisp morning of like with more like excitement is what I'm kind of training myself to do. And so that understanding that it's really a choice every day to get up and get out and get going versus, wishing I was a morning person just isn't true. So that's helped me kind of reframe also that kind of discipline.
I kind of psych myself out in the sense like at least I woke up this morning. So take advantage of that. A lot of people don't wake up in the morning. So So I try to do that to like motivate me to go out. But the counting down to 3, 2, 1, it gives me that extra boost because especially because it's so dark in the morning. I woke up extra early because obviously we had to record and it takes longer. Not realizing it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so there's nobody working. So I was like doing my makeup in the dark kind of because I turned on the light, but I was like, I just want to be back in bed because
But I do like once I am up in the morning, like even like super early, having to like, I don't know, go like I went out hiking this weekend, had to get up really early for like a 2.5 hour drive to go get to the start by like 8:30.
Really went hiking.
Yeah, it was nice. But when I do get up, and to your point of like when it's quiet in the morning, when there's less people that are up, there's less cars on the road, there's something super peaceful about it, and watching the sunrise come up. So I do appreciate when I'm now able to kind of like make that choice to get up early and get out there. There's a reward to being up so early in that calm, peaceful morning.
Well, yesterday too, I was like, it's Sunday, Costco's gonna be super packed, so I need to get up early to get there because I'm gonna have to deal with the crazies on Sunday. But so the reason I ask is what time you take your supplements, because I always get asked all the time in the stores, what time should I take this? And it's to your discretion. I can't really tell you, I'm not a doctor, so however you want to do your routine. But I normally, like in the morning now, since I'm trying not to drink as much coffee, if anything green tea, is I drink my Slim Fit to help me wake up when either after I brush my teeth or when I'm starting my makeup, which is early in the morning. And then if I want to take Sunset to sleep, then I'll take it like an hour or so before I think I'm gonna go to sleep.
I mean, in general, to your point, it's a personal decision. I mean, some people get maybe a little nauseous when it comes to vitamins and what they eat in the morning. So it's sometimes better to have a little bit of food, then take your vitamins. I'm okay on the nausea side. I don't get kind of any of those issues.
I don't.
Same with kratom. I know some of my friends are really sensitive to kratom. They only take kratom after they've eaten something. But yeah, for me, I just take it kind of, my routine is I just want to take it, get going, get out the door.
It also
then my coffee comes into play as I'm kind of like getting ready, go out the door.
It also has to do with what blend, in my opinion. So if I were to take just Mengdan first thing in the morning, I feel like I'll be more nauseous and more anxious because it's really strong for me. So Slim Fit or Midday even is good because it's just like a coffee replacement. I forgot how to say. But because this is why I write things down because I always forget. But yeah, everybody's different. It just depends because I know we just had a customer give us feedback too that they thought the Mengdan was going to help them, but it made her really anxious and like more too energized. So maybe for her, the Mengda's not good for her. Maybe the Slim Fit, which is a little bit less and more green tea, or the Midday that's a little bit less high mid-trigonine, or maybe even she needs a little red with like the sunrise and the white.
Yeah, there's definitely self-experimentation, or also then testing. I mean, like I do a lot of blood testing for testosterone, for the magnesium, vitamin D. So anytime we can actually it's good to listen to your body, what you need. Also, then if you can incorporate any kind of testing, blood work to see what is deficient, that's a great way to get that feedback and kind of continually get better with it.
Then what other supplements do you take aside? Do you take anything like Midday or anything? Or
Sometimes,
you really like to take that.
I also take this Live It Up, which is kind of like a green mixture. So there's like chlorella, spirulina, there's mint leaf in it, as well as other greens.
Do you feel like you smell less if that's not too personal? Because chlorella, mint is in chlorophyll supposed to help be an internal deodorizer. So when you take it,
I don't know.
It makes you. I don't know if you were like a smelly person.
Yeah,
I've never smelled you enough to be like, ooh, you stink. But they say that if you take chlorella, mint, and there's one more, but mainly those two, that it helps you deodorize from the inside out.
Interesting. No, I mean, it's hard. I've not done a direct experiment, but I'm not sure on that side. I mean, there's definitely a lot of other supplements that we've talked about in the past so Bulk Supplements is a company that I use quite a bit, but I've also kind of gotten away from a daily routine. I have a big bin that I used to add a bunch of things like lion's mane mushrooms, cordyceps for increased blood flow. So I'll probably get back into that now that I have kind of reestablished my morning routine, found this new great routine that I'm getting into. Because I also have started incorporating, say, branched chain amino acids. So these are kind of like precursors to what your body uses to build muscle and kind of build the tissues. So I'll do that supplementation now with this kind of Live It Up green green juice that I do. So I mean, I like the taste of it. It's kind of like a nice like.
Do you eat protein during the day to help? Because I know it helps.
I mean, protein. I try to eat protein and fat as my main food sources, and then add in vegetables and fruits and kind of other carbs because they taste so great.
How many grams of protein do you normally take? Do you think? Do you measure it at all?
I don't know. I don't measure it. I just try to
take
eat
it.
Yeah.
Because I know, like you're saying that you're taking a supplement to help you kind of build muscle. So I was curious because, as you know, I'm discovering all these new things for myself. And you do like these calculations, you don't really some little protein we take in general if you're not really paying attention. And then when you have to really pay attention, because I was talking to Brett about it too, because he's doing the same thing. And he needs to take like a mass amount, like 200 or 300 grams of protein for his goals, whatever he wants to be.
I mean, generally it's like 1 gram of protein per body weight is a kind of if you're trying to add more muscle, it's like, it's a lot of protein, and that's how it should be, to be honest. And if you're not consciously eating, plant-based meats or other kind of sources of protein, the normal amount of protein just in processed foods or in like meals that we kind of get at restaurants really isn't too high of a protein content. It's a very low amount, surprisingly.
After now using my fitness pal, I'm looking like, okay, this is what I'm eating. It's like, that's it. There's a lot of food and there's like little nutrition. What the heck?
Yeah.
So then I had to reevaluate and go back to ChatGPT and figure it out. The lion's mane. What do you use the lion's mane for? Yeah,
lion's mane is a mushroom that is supposed to be good for cognitive health. So it's really good for neuroplasticity, neuroprotection, kind of for the long term.
Okay. Did you just start? I know you in the last couple of years you started using it, but is it because you were getting older, wiser? Or just because you found an article?
Yeah, mainly just trying to be healthy, kind of for the long term. And that's similar to other mushrooms. Seem to have a lot of nutritional content or a lot of good beneficial health reasons. I'm just getting back into all of those kind of supplements now. The mushrooms and some of the extra, like cordyceps is another good example of a mushroom, and that's used for helping increase oxygen transportation throughout your body. So really good for fitness. So, you can imagine as you're, doing some kind of activity, you really want your blood to transport that oxygen, take away the CO2. That's how you kind of activate the body and get more, long exercise out of it. So we'll have to kind of report back as I kind of go back into all those supplements and start incorporating more of them into my daily routine. I'm gonna keep adding in more. Kind of, it's a nice trajectory that I'm on.
So what are you drinking right
now? This is a mix of the Live It Up green juice as well as like a tart watermelon branched chain amino acid mixture. So I try to do the BCAAs after a workout if I don't immediately have kind of like a nice like protein based meal.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you next. I've learned that. Well, Brett was telling me, I didn't learn, he was telling me that after you work out, his trainer said that it's better for you to take a protein that has something to help your muscles recover, but then also help with the protein so that the protein can help build the muscle or something like that. So do you take anything like that? Just the watermelon thing?
I mean, sometimes a collagen mixture. So basically like a protein supplement, whether it's BCAAs or like a collagen or just another protein supplement. Otherwise, then I kind of like try to get to my morning meal, which is generally like a lot of protein.
Okay, because you work out in the morning now, huh?
Yep.
Do you still take your bone broth? I know you were really big on bone broth.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, I've been getting back into making beef stew a lot. So there's a lot, and I'll use like the beef bones that have a lot of the beef marrow that I cook in like a long-term slow cooker. So I get a lot of good fats and other proteins from that source.
That's cool. I think that covers most of it. I don't know if you have any other, because I mean, to be honest, you never had really bad skin, so I know you've been taking vitamins that works really good for you because you never have blemishes or anything. So I know that's you taking care of yourself. So I don't know if it's like your diet, your exercise, and then there's your supplements and all that.
Yeah, it's probably quite a bit of it. I mean, I also use like Dr. Bronner's, like a really natural-based soap. When I changed to tea tree oil-based soap, which is kind of a natural antibiotic, a natural cleanser, that really helped my skin. So it's, I think it's that overall, both what I eat and then the soaps and natural soaps.
That's my downfall because as you guys know, I really like to smell good. So I have a lot of the smelly stuff. I just switched the lotion to help be a little bit more cautious of what I put on my body, but I did not like it. There was no scent, no nothing. And I'm like, I know it's better, but we'll see how that goes. But do you have any future supplements that you're maybe looking at that maybe you'd like for us to, I guess, look into? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start exploring peptides coming up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look into that research
help?
And
Roughly.
It can help with anything, helping our body repair itself, really kind of helping with specific ailments, or it can just help with overall longevity. So yeah, peptides are a really interesting category of kind of like, I mean, similar to supplements in a way, but yeah, it's kind of like the basic building blocks that our body uses for all sorts of functions and repairs.
How long do you take to take caffeine in the morning? I didn't know this is a random question, but do you take it right away or like?
Not, I mean, I generally wake up and get going. I do my other routines. It's probably like 20-30 minutes. I mean, I know you're supposed to wait for like a little while, but yeah, so there's other things to do for sure.
As I'm researching, it's saying that there's this guy that I follow on social, and it's like he wakes up, does a cold plunge. Not doing that because you
can start. You should.
Yes,
start.
I know, but not right now. But then he drinks like a suero, which is the kind of not without the mineral water, but just water and salt to get the minerals in because you've been dehydrated for the last 8-10 plus hours, and then after the first hour of waking up, you should take your coffee. And I was like, that's my problem because I took it maybe an hour after, but there's nothing else in my stomach. Yeah. So I was curious to see how often or how early you drink your coffee too. But you just do black, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, I think that answers most of our questions. I don't know if you want to add anything else.
Nope. Yeah, thanks for tuning in and getting more insight into how we incorporate other botanicals and supplements into our kratom routine. And so just overall how we manage our health and wellness and get the best out of life that we can. If you found today's episode enjoyable or if you learned anything, we'd be grateful if you showed your support by visiting ethanaturals.com for all of your botanical needs. Don't forget to follow our podcast to stay up to date on new episodes at Etha Live Fully Podcast. Your support would really mean a lot to us. Today's topic was brought to us by you guys, and we really, really appreciate your support, your questions, your comments, so please keep them coming. If you have anything you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please submit your questions in the Q&A section down below, or you can email us, podcasts@ethanaturals.com. Until next time, I'm Alexander.
And I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nicole.
And as always,
live fully.